Every single night, more than 50 million people wake up in the middle of their sleep to go to the bathroom not once, but two, three, sometimes even 5 times. And over time, most of them begin to accept this as normal, just another sign of getting older. They are told it is their bladder or their prostate or simply age catching up with them, so they follow the advice they are given. They take the pills, they drink less water in the evening, they try different remedies, hoping that tonight will finally be different. But it never is. Because what almost nobody explains is this. In most cases, the bladder is not the real problem, and yet that is exactly what most treatments are focused on. Now, picture this for a moment. It is 3 in the morning. Your home is completely quiet, and you are finally in that deep, heavy sleep your body has been waiting for all day. Then it starts. At first, it is subtle, easy to ignore. You turn to the other side, you pull the blanket closer, you try to stay asleep, but the signal does not go away. It builds slowly until it becomes impossible to ignore. You get up, you step onto the cold floor, you walk to the bathroom half awake, like you have done this countless times before. And when you come back to bed, something has changed. The sleep is gone. Your mind is suddenly active. Thoughts begin to appear. Work, responsibilities, things you were not even thinking about before. You lie there waiting to fall back asleep, but it takes longer than it should. Eventually you drift off again, only to be pulled out of sleep once more. By the time morning comes, you are not rested. You are exhausted, foggy, already behind before your day has even begun. Most people accept this cycle and tell themselves it is just age, that everyone goes through it. But that belief is not only wrong, it is quietly damaging your body night after night. Because what if the real reason you are waking up has nothing to do with your bladder and everything to do with a mechanism in your body that is being completely overlooked? In this video, I'm going to walk you through what is actually happening inside your body, how to identify which type of nighttime urination you are dealing with, and most importantly, how to fix the root cause in a way that actually works. Before we go any further, we need to clearly understand what is actually happening here, because most people misunderstand this from the very beginning. In medicine, waking up at night to urinate has a name. It is called Nocturia. And it is not just an inconvenience, it is a signal. This is where most people get it wrong. They think getting up once a night is harmless, something you can ignore, but even that is already your body telling you something is off. Because a healthy system is designed to let you sleep through the night without interruption, your brain produces a specific hormone that tells your kidneys to slow down, to conserve fluid, to let your body rest. When that process works properly, you sleep for 7 or 8 hours straight, no interruptions. The problem begins when that mechanism breaks down. Every time you wake up even briefly, your body is pulled out of deep sleep, and that is the phase where the most important repair processes happen. Your brain clears waste, your nervous system resets, your heart finally gets a chance to rest. When this cycle is interrupted night after night, your pulse rises, your blood pressure spikes. And over time, this puts real stress on your cardiovascular system. That is why so many people feel constantly tired, foggy, drained, and this is not just about sleep. It is about long-term damage. Now there is something else you need to know, and this part is critical. Not every case should be handled at home. There are specific warning signs that should send you to a doctor immediately. If you ever notice blood in your urine without any pain, do not ignore it. Pain with blood can mean infection or stones, but painless blood is different. It can be an early sign of something much more serious. Another red flag is rapid unexplained weight loss, combined with bone or lower back pain, especially if it happens over a short period of time. And finally, if you feel a strong urge to urinate, but nothing comes out or only a few drops, despite pressure, that is an emergency situation. If none of these apply to you, then take a step back. In most cases, what you are dealing with is not dangerous, but it is something that slowly wears your body down if you ignore it. And the key to fixing it is not guessing. It is understanding exactly what type of nocturia you have, because not all cases are the same. Now that you understand what nocturia really is, the next step is even more important. You need to identify which type you are dealing with, because not all nighttime urination is the same, and this is exactly where most people go wrong. They assume one cause, treat the wrong thing, and wonder why nothing changes. In reality, there are 5 different types of nocturia, and each one has a completely different mechanism behind it. The first type is what we call global polyuria. This means your body is producing too much urine overall both during the day and at night. You go frequently, and each time the volume is large. If you were to measure it, your total daily output would be significantly higher than normal. In most cases, this comes down to 2 things. Either you are simply drinking too much fluid throughout the day, or there is an underlying condition like diabetes, where excess glucose pulls water with it. In this type, the pattern is consistent. Day and night look the same. The second type is the most common, especially in people over 40. This is nocturnal polyuria. During the day, everything feels normal. You go to the bathroom every few hours, nothing unusual. But the moment you lie down, everything changes. You start waking up multiple times, and each time the bladder is full. Not a few drops, a significant amount. This is the type most people have, and it has very little to do with the bladder itself. The third type is a bladder capacity problem. Here, the pattern is completely different. You feel a sudden urge to go. You rush to the bathroom, but when you get there, almost nothing comes out. A few drops at most. Then, 40 minutes later, it happens again. This is usually related to the bladder itself. Either it has become overly sensitive, or it has lost the ability to stretch properly. Conditions like prostate enlargement, overactive bladder, or chronic irritation often fall into this category. The fourth type is sleep-related nocturia, and this one is often overlooked. In this case, the problem is not that your bladder is waking you up. It is the other way around. You wake up first because of poor sleep stress or conditions like sleep apnea, and then you notice the urge to urinate. So it feels like the bladder caused it, but in reality it is your sleep that is broken. And finally, the fifth type is medication-induced nocturia. This happens when the very thing you are taking to improve your health is quietly causing the problem. Certain blood pressure medications, diuretics, and heart medications can increase urine production, especially if taken at the wrong time of day. And in many cases, people never connect the two. So take a moment and think about your own pattern. Are you going large amounts all day or mostly at night? Are your trips urgent but small, or spaced out but heavy? Did this start after a medication change? Or does it happen only when your sleep is already disturbed? Because once you identify your type, everything changes. And more importantly, you stop treating the wrong cause. Let me show you what this actually looks like in real life. Because once you see it, everything starts to make sense. A man came to see me, I will call him Richard Hayes, 54 years old, strong, practical, not the type who complains easily. He told me right away, "Doctor, I am waking up 4 or 5 times every night. I cannot sleep. I feel like I am losing my mind." And like most people, he was convinced he already knew the cause. He said, "It has to be my prostate. What else could it be?" He had already tried everything he could think of. Supplements for prostate health, herbal remedies. He even stopped drinking water in the evening completely. Not a sip after dinner. He would go to bed thirsty, uncomfortable, hoping that would solve the problem, but it did not. At 2 in the morning, he would wake up and pass a large amount of urine. At 4 in the morning, the same thing again, and he kept asking the same question, "Where is all this coming from?" So, I looked at his tests. His prostate markers were normal. His bladder was clear. No infection, no stones. From a urological perspective, he was almost perfectly healthy. But the symptoms were real, severe, and getting worse. That is when I stopped asking about how he urinates and started asking about how he lives. I asked him, do your legs feel heavy by the end of the day? Do your socks leave marks on your skin? Do you ever feel short of breath when climbing stairs? At first, he did not think any of that was important, but the answers were all there. Yes, his socks left deep marks. Yes, his legs felt tight in the evening. Yes, he got winded more easily than before. And that is when the picture became clear. The problem was not his bladder. It was fluid. Here is what was actually happening inside his body. Throughout the day, as you stand and sit, gravity is constantly pulling fluid downward. Blood, lymphatic fluid, everything begins to settle in your lower body, especially in your legs. When you are younger, your veins and muscles push that fluid back up efficiently. But over time, that system becomes weaker. Fluid begins to leak into the surrounding tissue and quietly accumulate. You may not even notice it except for small signs. Slight swelling, marks from your socks, a feeling of heaviness. Now here is where it changes. At night when you lie down, gravity no longer holds that fluid in your legs. Everything redistributes. That fluid moves back into your bloodstream and suddenly, your body is dealing with a much larger volume of circulating fluid. Your heart senses this, it stretches, and in response, it sends a signal to your kidneys. Get rid of the excess, so your kidneys switch into high gear. They start filtering, aggressively pushing out water and sodium to protect your system. And within a short time, your bladder fills. That is why you wake up. Not because you drank too much, but because your body is redistributing what it stored during the day. And the process does not happen all at once, it comes in waves, which is why you wake up again and again. So when Richard was trying to fix his prostate, he was targeting the wrong system entirely. The real issue was circulation, fluid retention, and how his body was handling that shift between day and night. Once you understand this, the pattern becomes obvious, and more importantly, it becomes fixable. Now that you understand the mechanism, the next step is simple. You need to check whether this is actually happening in your body. And the good news is, you do not need any expensive tests to do that. There is a very simple way to check for hidden fluid in your legs. Sit down and expose your lower leg, then find the front of your shin bone. Press your thumb firmly into the skin for about 10 to 15 seconds, then release it and observe what happens. If the skin springs back immediately, that is a good sign. But if it leaves a visible dent that takes a few seconds to disappear, that is fluid retention, and that fluid has to go somewhere at night. There is a second test that is even more revealing. On a day when you are at home, measure your urine output. Pay attention to how much you produce during the day and how much you produce at night, including the first time you go in the morning. If more than 1/3 of your total output happens at night, then your system is clearly shifting its workload into nighttime hours. That is not normal, and it is not your bladder causing it. Now let us talk about something most people completely overlook. What you eat in the evening can directly influence how your body handles fluid at night. The first hidden problem is salt. Not the kind you sprinkle on food, but the salt that is already inside our processed meals. Cheese, cured meats, packaged foods, even bread. These foods contain large amounts of sodium that your body holds onto during the evening. And later at night, your kidneys are forced to flush it out, pulling water with it. The second is sugar, especially in the evening. Fruit desserts, sweet drinks, they cause a spike in blood sugar followed by a hormonal response that affects how your body retains and releases fluid. What starts as retention can quickly turn into nighttime elimination. The third is alcohol. Many people believe it helps them sleep, but in reality, it blocks the hormone that normally slows down urine production at night. So even if you fall asleep faster, your kidneys continue working at full speed. The fourth is caffeine. coffee, strong tea, even some soft drinks. It stimulates both the bladder and urine production, and if consumed later in the day, it can easily carry into your sleep cycle. And the fifth is spicy food. It may seem unrelated, but it can irritate the bladder and increase the sensation of urgency even when the volume is not that high. Now, here is the good part. There are also simple things you can add that actually support your system. Pumpkin seeds are one of the most underrated options. They contain magnesium and zinc, which help relax the muscles of the bladder and improve control. A small handful a day can make a noticeable difference over time. Cranberries in their natural form, or as a low-sugar extract, help reduce irritation in the bladder lining. They make it harder for bacteria to stick and can calm sensitivity. Fiber is another key factor. Vegetables, greens, whole foods. When your digestion is working properly, there is less pressure on your bladder from surrounding organs. Bananas, especially earlier in the day, help balance electrolytes and reduce fluid imbalance in the body. And finally, unsweetened yogurt supports your gut and reduces low-grade inflammation, which can indirectly improve how your body regulates fluid. These are not complicated solutions, but they are powerful because they work with your body instead of against it. Now, at this point, everything should start to come together. What you are experiencing is not random. It is not just age, and in many cases, it is not your bladder failing you. It is your body sending a signal. A signal that something in the way fluid is being managed inside your system is out of balance. And in my experience, this is where most people go wrong. They focus on the symptom, they try to suppress it, but they never stop to ask what is actually causing it in the first place. And over time, that is what keeps the cycle going. Because the truth is simple. Your body is not trying to make your life difficult. It is trying to protect you. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This video is not a replacement for medical care. If you have warning signs like blood in your urine, unexplained weight loss, or severe pain, you need to see a qualified doctor immediately. This kind of information is meant to help you understand your body better, not to ignore serious conditions. But if what you are dealing with is the pattern we discussed today, waking up multiple times at night, producing large amounts of urine, feeling exhausted every morning, then there is a very high chance that the cause is functional, not structural. And that means it can be improved. So here is where you start. Check your legs. Look for hidden fluid. Pay attention to your pattern. When is your body actually producing urine? Clean up your evening habits, especially salt, sugar, and alcohol. Give your body a chance to rebalance before sleep. Elevate your legs. Shift the timing. And be consistent. That is the part most people underestimate. Because this is not about a quick fix. It is about restoring a system that has slowly drifted out of rhythm. And when it starts working again, you will feel the difference. You will sleep deeper, longer, without interruption, and that changes everything. Now I am curious. How many times are you waking up at night right now, and how old are you? Write it in the comments. I read them, and it helps me understand what people are really dealing with. And if this video helped you see your situation differently, then subscribe to the channel, because most people are still treating the symptom while the real cause remains hidden. Your body is not broken, it is responding. And now you finally understand how to respond back.